So something that I'm working on that God is also helping me as he's like chipping away at my old self is learning to meet people where they are, especially in this walk. Everyone learns differently. Everyone comes into the truth at a different rate. Some people it takes a slower process or a different process than the next man. And when I first, started to get closer to God again and learn more about the Most High, and I wanted to share it with other people, I was just like going all in and sharing it. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I think that whenever you want to introduce someone to a new way of thinking or a new way of life that you truly believe will benefit them, I think that it's really important to know who your audience is and who you're talking to, and kind of speak to them accordingly. I don't necessarily see that fully within social media. I mean, obviously, you can have like a certain type of audience within social media, but I'm talking about more so face to face interactions with people or like one on one conversations with someone that you actually know, more so than just like the broader perspective of like a group of people. At least for myself, because other than what I put out on my YouTube channel, I'm not really in spaces where I'm talking to a bunch of people at once. It's usually just like a one-on-one type of thing. And the reason why I mentioned that is because I was just like watching clips of Kung Fu Panda. And just a sidebar, I think that some of the best animations honestly was from a range of like 2007 to like 2014 or 15. Like pretty much there wasn't a miss pretty much for the most part. Like a lot of these newer animations that are coming out are kind of like woke, like they're like on some like political stuff, and like that kind of ruins a movie. But the old movies like Kung Fu Panda, Ratatouille, Shark Tale, I don't know, some of the Shrek movies. Well, that's early 2000s. Brave. Um, what else we got? Megamind. Like these movies, they they just had such a deep message, and it was made for kids. But honestly, a lot of those messages be hitting for adults. But I wanted to talk about this one scene in Kung Fu Panda where it was like, I think it was like towards the middle of the movie. This is a spoiler, by the way, but it's not really like that big of a deal. But it was a scene in a movie where Master Shifu was trying to teach Po the ways of Kung Fu, right? But the way that Po needed to learn Kung Fu wasn't the same as the other animals. I forget their group name. It was like something five, the Elite Five. I don't remember, but like Tigress and like all those Mantis and all of them, they learned it the traditional route. But Po was different. His mindset was completely different. So when Master Shifu tried to teach Po the ways of Kung Fu the same way that he taught it to his other disciples, it didn't translate well. And this scene was great and a turning point in the movie because Master Shifu didn't have hope in Po because he couldn't see why he didn't just fall in line and start understanding. He couldn't see why Master Yugwe would say that you are the Dragon Warrior. He couldn't see that. So he was very discouraged, and he tried to get Po to leave, but Po stayed. And this particular scene was dope because Po's main thing, as you know, if you've seen Kung Fu Panda, is food. He loves food. Food is like the one thing, like this, like the driving force that really turns him into the master warrior or whatever you call it that he needs to be. It's like his motivator is food. And so in this scene you can see that Master Shifu is like pretty much showing Po how to like focus on one thing, and it translates over to your enemy. When your enemy tries to like do certain moves to trick you, you're able to kind of see past that and still get the job done of defeating your enemy. And he used the dumplings as the little scene to help Po kind of realize that. And the scene was a turning point because at this point, Master Shifu realized that it was food that would allow Po to really tap into his true power. And Poe acclimated very well, and like at the end of the scene, you saw how he got the better hand of Master Shifu, and it just goes again to show that everyone is different, and not everyone learns the same way. And if you've been put in a position to help someone, sometimes you just kind of have to learn who they are on a deeper level so that you can communicate with them properly. And that doesn't mean that you compromise the truth or anything that the Most High has placed on your heart to say. It doesn't mean you water it down. You just kind of meet people where they're at, you know. And I think that that's a very great trait to have, especially if you know that you've been called to spread a message and really lead people out of darkness. Meeting people where they're at is imperative. It's imperative. It really is. And I just think that this movie did a really good job at portraying that. And, you know, like, I wish, I mean, you can't change things, and everything is the way it is for a darker reason, but I think a lot of the reasons why children don't do well in school, or like it's harder for them to learn, is simply for the fact that the school system is based off of just like a one size fits all. But you know, a great teacher exists when they cater to each student differently, and like they try to help them understand the material based off of just their personality and whom they are. Obviously there are certain things that you kind of can't go around, but I do think that when you are a teacher, and I'm not saying I'm a teacher, I'm not a teacher, but I'm just saying in general, so anyone who is a teacher, or if you know that you've been called to teach, the teachers are servants to the student, right? And it's your duty to help the student understand the ways in which you learn things, and then even more, so that once you finish teaching the student, they're even greater than you. And that's kind of like how it is when you have children and you start to raise a family. Like it says in the Bible, raise the child up in the way they should go, and then they won't depart from it. So you raise your child up properly, then once they are grown, they're taking everything that they've learned from you plus everything that they've learned themselves on their own, and they become an even better person. And like that's like pretty much the process of the growth of a bloodline. And I just think that's just beautiful, and Kung Fu Panda just did a really good job at portraying that. There's so many themes in that movie, but that was one scene where I was like, dang, like this is real. This is real. So yeah.